Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I disagree with your conclusion on this, and I hope other members will consider this issue before agreeing with your position. There were 2 volumes of the Mueller report. The first volume related to the Russian interference in our election. It was an extensive investigation by Mr. Mueller. Indictments were issued against Russian nationals as a result of it. We have been warned now by the leader of the Federal Bureau of Investigation that the Russians can be expected to do exactly the same thing in just a few months in 2020. Not bringing Bob Mueller before us to even discuss that possibility and what we can do to avoid it, I think, is a dereliction of duty. Secondly, the letter which was disclosed in the last 48 hours, which was given to this committee, shows there were clearly differences of opinion between Bob Mueller and Bill Barr in his representation of what was included in that report. The fact that the Senate Judiciary Committee will not even allow Bob Mueller to come and explain those differences and how he viewed the earlier letter by Mr. Barr as being somewhat short, at least falling short of giving a proper description of his report. Again, time and again, it appears that the Senate Judiciary Committee, which used to be the leader on Capitol Hill on these issues, is stepping back and out of the picture if it possibly involves a president of the United States. I think that's a serious mistake. Whether the president is a Republican or Democrat, we are a separate branch of government and have a special responsibility here. And not allowing Mr. Mueller to come and testify before us is to walk away from history.
Well, let me just say once again, I could not disagree with you more about everything you said. I couldn't disagree with you more about the letter Mueller sent to Mr. Barr. It had nothing to do without Mr. Barr, misrepresenting the conclusions of Mr. Mueller. For 3 days, he was getting beat on, and he wanted the executive summary to be out there to show people, well, here's my analysis of the obstruction of justice charge. It had nothing to do with about Mr. Barr misrepresenting the Mueller report. You can read it for yourself. He didn't. To all those who say he did, it's wrong. Mr. Barr told us exactly what was in the Mueller report, and there's 440 pages. You can verify it for yourself. The executive summary is in the Mueller report. So I don't believe we're advancing the cause of the rule of law to do this anymore. This committee is not going to be used to run for president unnecessarily. We're not going to drag everybody through the mud yet again. We gave Mueller the chance to do his job. He did his job. I'm sorry you don't like the outcome. The bottom line, there is no prosecutable case, in my view, on obstruction of justice. And if you believe this president obstructed justice, impeach him. Now, what you should do is call your House colleagues and say you disagree with Barr, you disagree with Mueller, you think he actually did obstruct justice, and this would be attempted obstruction of justice of a crime that never occurred. And if you think the behavior of President Trump is something that is impeachable, impeach him. We're not going to use the law anymore to play these games. Mr. Mueller was the final word for me.
Mr. Chairman.
And he wrote down what he found.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
As one of the few senators not running for president on this side of the aisle, I'm certainly not raising this.
Tell you what, I think you'd do pretty good.
My wife has said it's all right if I run for president with one condition: she gets to choose the country. So she's now taking a close look around the world. But I would just say that your argument, which I disagree with, focuses on Volume 2. How can we ignore Volume 1? Volume 1 of the Mueller report relates to the Russian involvement in the election in 2016, and we know from Mr. Wray that we are facing this again. Why are we afraid to bring Bob Mueller before us to tell us what he found and what we need to do to protect
for
the
3.5
integrity of our
hours
election process?
Thank you. I don't remember one, maybe 2 questions about Russia. I heard character assassination after character assassination against Bill Barr for telling us what was in the report and why he decided not to prosecute. This wasn't about Russia. This was about trying to tag Trump. Mueller told us that the Russians did it, and I agree they did. You can read how they did it. The point is, let's do something about that. Senator Ernst and Senator Sass and Senator Klobuchar and a few of you, we can definitely come together to deal with Russia. But Mueller is not about Russia. I protected Mueller to do his job. I'm not going to use Mueller to play politics for 2020. We can all find ways to protect the country without having another hearing about Trump and Russia.